Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. My name is Katie Gideon, and I will be your on camera facilitator for this weekly setup. Thank you for joining us. As Megan Trainer said, you are here to treat yourself. Give yourself a hand for being here for the next hour to set your week up on the, kind of whatever refresh you need to do. If you had a bad week, if you had a great week, we're here to kind of reset that clock, reset that week, and come into it with a whole different perspective or carry some of those other things. But we are glad you're here. I want to give a shout out to my amazing co facilitator who will be in the chat. That is a Miss Jennifer O. She is dialing in from Texas. And we used to be Team Texas, but I have since relocated across the pond. So I am coming to you from the cold and rainy Edinburgh, Scotland. But we are so glad that you're here. Let us know if you're new to the socials or new to the weekly setups. But I do recognize some of the same names. So I always love to see our returning socialers. So glad to have you back. But definitely want to see if there are any new folks. We are glad that you are here. And we are so excited to share some of these tips and tricks as we go into week 41 of this year, which is unbelievable how fast it has gone. But this will also be the second week of October. And so we're going to continue with our theme of perseverance, which I think perseverance is one of those that you're either going to love it because it is something that you embrace, it is something that you love, it is a challenge that you accept, or it is something that you would rather do without, because there's usually that tie-in with failure or not quite succeeding or almost the anxiety of having to do something. So I feel like this is one of those, there really is no nice middle. It's either the kind of wholeheartedly embraced or the wholeheartedly, I need to find something else. I fall into the category of I love the idea of perseverance. I think it is something that I know I've had to personally handle and deal with when you have to kind of completely change careers, when you do kind of insane things like moving across the country, moving across all those things. So that's just kind of how I embrace perseverance because I also love the challenge of doing something different, doing something new. If I don't quite get it right the first time, then the challenge of figuring it out. I come from a science background, so the whole scientific method really works for me where, a hypothesis is going to be wrong, but I can change those variables and get different results. So that is certainly the idea that I have and I embrace. But again, I know it's not for everyone. So definitely share your kind of reservations, or if you're super pumped about this particular theme, we are here to kind of share that support as well as, if you're having a tough time, we want to hear about it. We want to provide the support. But at the same time, this is your journal. This is your journey. So definitely, this is your permission to take it and run with it in whatever direction you want to go. As always, be kind and courteous to yourself and others. No promotion or spam, respect everyone's privacy, no hate speech or bullying. We always ask that you limit a repetitive product or accessory questions. And then again, if you have any questions and you need to reach out to the headquarters team, we can provide that information. And then as always, the Sonder Socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community, but you're responsible for your own emotions and reactions. So if you need to set up those mental barriers of I'm just not ready to tackle this either today or this week or this month, then do it. You can obviously sit here and enjoy the chat. You can turn off the chat and listen to the music. If I am too much for you and my music is too much for you, you can mute me and do whatever you need to do to set up for your week. And so we're going to go through week 2 of the Perseverance Mind Map. We're going to do our Rosebud Thorn. Then we're going to move into that weekly setup and then do a small closing. So if you haven't been with us on one of the weekly setups, we have the opportunity to deep dive into the month's theme by asking ourselves and focusing on different aspects of that theme. So because this is a long month, we've got 5 different weekends, which is amazing. So that means we're going to get to focus on 5 different aspects of the Perseverance Mind Map. So if you haven't done this for the setup yet, turn to a blank page, or if there's a blank part of the weekly setup page that you don't use, maybe it's the shopping list. lists, maybe it's the weekly to-dos, but find a little area that you can kind of reflect on our new concept of perseverance. And don't worry if you missed week one, we're going to include that question as well, so you can work on both. But moving into officially the week two mind map concept of perseverance is, what does perseverance mean to you? And again, if you missed the first week was how can perseverance help you flourish, which was a great segue from last month to now this one. So now we're going to kind of deep dive into what does perseverance mean to you. And so you can always go back to the definition for some inspiration. I absolutely Googled the definitions the first go round. So that's kind of where I started. And then you can always describe what perseverance looks like, either in a person or a situation, if you don't want to stick to the kind of like squishy things. And then they can always be quotes or affirmations. You can definitely use other synonyms of perseverance. And as always, there are no right or wrong answers here. We just want you to find a way that you can connect to the meaning of perseverance. So the way I kind of navigated what perseverance means to me is I was given really good advice kind of coming up in my early professional life, and that was to fail spectacularly. And the reason I was told to fail spectacularly is because if something didn't go right, someone could come in and help you fix it, because they could say, oh, you know, step two, you completely went in the wrong direction. You made the wrong decision there, but we can work back from there. You know, indecision was kind of the crippling aspect of all those things. So we were always, you know, encouraged to fail spectacularly so that we could figure out what exactly went wrong and how we could fix it. And then once you kind of go through those motions, at least in my opinion, it was then trying to find the excitement in trying again. Because again, I'm one of those type A competitive. I don't like to fail. I don't like to do things incorrectly. Everything has to be perfect. But as we are breaking with perfection, we need to somehow find a way to get that excitement to get up and try again. So just because those are the conclusions that I came up with, I definitely want to hear what perseverance means to you. So I'm going to give you some time to work on that, and we'll see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. You all had such great examples, but what I still loved is that there was kind of a commonality theme, but with everyone's kind of unique and personal take on it. And kind of some of the other advice that I gave folks that worked with me is that even on your worst days, you bring value. And I think that kind of sums up some of the perseverance or some of those things that I feel like, personally and professionally, you can get knocked down, but having that kind of confidence or the ability to shake it off. Thank you, Taylor Swift. Um, is certainly a way to focus and move forward. But you guys had some great ideas. I love all of the mantras. I hadn't heard the push reference before, which was perseverance until something happens. That was genius. And I feel like if you're a fan of affirmations and mantras, this is definitely going to be a month for you because this just screams those type of things. And also, I know someone mentioned they love the graphic. I'm a big fan of this graphic as well because I also think of like, the treasure hunts where that's a really good example of perseverance. You got to keep trying all the X's until X marks the spot. Same thing with I have a maritime background, so I am in awe of kind of all of those very early explorers, beating those odds, trying to do something new and different. So again, I think this is a great representation, and their ability to be able to deep dive each week is going to be really fun. But I also think really beneficial because I feel like it drives some of those really core, strong emotions when it comes to perseverance. So thank you everyone for sharing. Now we are going to move into the rosebud thorn exercise. So if you are in your October journal, we are on page 36. And again, this is a great way to reflect on the previous week because you're going to look at a rose, which is a highlight, a win, or something that went well. A bud is going to be an emerging opportunity or something you're excited about. A thorn is going to be a challenge or maybe something that didn't go well. So for me this week, the rose was my sister and her husband are going to be here on Monday. So I'm super excited to see them. Always fun to hang out with, for sure. My sister, big fan, get along really well. So super excited that she's going to be here. For my bud, I made this, again, big transition for work. Checked in with kind of one of my senior bosses and we're on track and everything is going well. So it was a little bit of a, I was able to kind of release that kind of unclenched feeling a little bit that I'm in the right place, I'm doing the right thing, and we just need time. Thorn, I pride myself in being a pretty good functioning cook, especially home cook. I can turn just about anything into something edible. This oven officially destroyed the frozen pizza that I was making. It was charred beyond belief. I don't think I've burned something that drastically in a minute. So quite deflating, but I will declare war on the oven and we will figure it out. Because I cannot be without an oven, but it was definitely a pretty epic fail. So let us know your rosebud thorns. As I said, we want to celebrate the wins, acknowledge the future opportunities, get excited, but also make sure that we understand, that there may be some rough patches or maybe it didn't go so well. That's why we get to start over with the beginning of the week. So let us know what you have and we'll see you soon. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. As you can see, the support that we have for all of the ups and downs that last week brought. Saw a lot of wins kind of around hobbies as well as projects, which is always great to get that kind of nice check in the box for completion. Saw some really fun and exciting opportunities for folks that everyone is looking forward to on the bud side. And then Thorn, it looks like a lot of kind of health and medical kind of uptick, which I feel like tis the season for those, seeing more and more of those. And just so sorry to hear for all those. If you need an extra hug or some extra love, let us know. But as always, the Rosebud Thorn is a really great exercise to, again, celebrate the wins, acknowledge the thorns or challenges, and find something to get excitement about as you kind of move forward. And so, what's now great is we can pull some of those examples. So, if you had a really good week because of something you did, how can you move that into the next week to keep that momentum going? If you had a thorn that you think you can kind of tackle and kind of respond to, how can we incorporate that into the weekly? But those are, again, just different perspectives on how to do that. So, now we're going to move into the weekly planner setup, which, again, is why you're here. So, please join me for the first page, which is page 40 in your October journal. And again, as always, we love to hear the repurposing. So if you're a little confused or don't understand or need something new to kind of liven it up, here are just some previous examples that you hear us do. I will kind of tailor the descriptions to kind of my style. But as always, we'll send the YouTube link so you can listen to other facilitators, or you guys give such great advice in the chat that I highly recommend trying something new, something different. But also, again, give yourself a little bit of grace, because sometimes there are weeks that everything is firing on all cylinders. And then there are weeks that you're like, I didn't touch this because I just needed to survive. And that's okay. You just got to, again, brush yourself off, get back up, and kind of tackle the week as best you think you can. So for the first part is we're going to start with this week, I want to feel. So this is the top right corner of page 40. And the way I kind of approach this is, how do I want to feel this time next week? What do I need to do to kind of propel myself through the week so that when I am sitting in this chair, just like I was last week, how can I feel about this week? But again, not everyone's requirement there, but here are, again, some great examples. Jennifer and I both agreed that we thought the what I want to feel more of and what I want to feel less of was such a clever idea. I feel like in my head, I always want to keep it to like a word or a short phrase. But again, no right or wrong answers here. But I also love the simplicity of, I just want to feel 1% better. I just want to feel good. The idea of having kind of what word you want to feel with maybe some extra motivation behind it. Or you can have a different word of the day, depending on what you need for that day. But I always kind of like to approach this as, this is the word that I want to have back in the back of my head, that if I'm having a low point or a not so great point, what can I look at to kind of add that refocus to be like, this is what I want to do by the end of this week. Because I've one of those strongly feel mentality is everything. So if I can just make some of those adjustments with that kind of motivational end goal, I'm going to be a happy camper. So I'll give you guys some time to think on your words, and we will see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. You all went deep. I am so inspired and so impressed. Loved seeing. Brenda wants to feel committed. Alexa wants to feel healthier socially with better quality connections. I loved that the more or less resonated with folks. I love that Elizabeth is going to take the I want to mantra with the I want to smile, I want to think happy thoughts, which I, again, there are no right or wrong answers here, but whatever idea that comes into you, how do you want to feel this time next week? Because we're going to kind of use that as our focus point. Because as we move into our weekly 3 major goals, the way I approach these is this is those kind of reminders or that mental and emotional mindset that I need to have so that I can feel what I want to feel by the end of this week. But again, you can obviously repurpose this. This could be 3 favorite quotes. The person in the top left kind of used it as a way to deep dive into resilience and perseverance with quotes and mantras. You can categorize them maybe into a goal for mind, body, work, or maybe it's mind, body, family. And again, graphics are always super fun, but you don't always have to do that. Again, sometimes it can be stickers. Sometimes it can just be a really kind of clever color scheme, or again, just kind of some of those nail it down to just rest, eat well, and self-love. But like I said, the way I approach this are what are those mental or emotional reminders I need to give myself to get through the week. And that is, in the past, it's been for me, excuse myself from the unimportant, refocus, hydrate, move, all those kind of things. No right or wrong answers here. So I'll give you an opportunity to kind of work on your 3 major goals and let us know how you approach this. And we'll see you soon. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. What I definitely love about the socials is that, you're definitely consumed in your little world each week, but there can be just the magic of sharing with kind of like minded folks working on the same projects, because sometimes that is, a perspective, or it is a realization, or it's just, as they put it, that is just something that you needed to hear. Because sometimes, I feel like you treat it as it always comes from different areas, but there's something unique and special about hearing it from this group. So thank you everyone for sharing. Loved seeing the approaches to this kind of on that mental and emotional kind of reminders that they give. Also loved seeing the category breakdown. So thank you everyone for sharing. So now sticking with, again, still page 40, now on the kind of middle left side is the weekly to-dos. And the weekly to-dos can be the absolute traditional to-do list. It can be a to-do list. And again, like I said, I think mentality is everything. So I am a big fan of the to-do list because I love to celebrate what I do, instead of having to kind of continue to reflect on what I have to do. So I am a to-do fan. I know other folks have found some success with the Eisenhower matrix, which is the do, decide, delegate, and delete, as well as the Pomodoro technique, which is where you kind of pick a task, set a timer, work on that until the timer's up, take a break, and then you can complete each of those. Each one task that you complete is a Pomodoro. And then if you don't like the spot because you put your to-do list elsewhere, you can cover it with stickers. Also a great opportunity again for those bingo boards. I also thought that the weekly to do with the need to do and the want to do is a really fun perspective, similar to the Eisenhower matrix. It can also be where your mind map lives. Big fan of cute little icons to kind of, again, add some of that mental motivation. Or again, it can be that traditional what you need to do or what you also need to do, or at least think about. There is no right or wrong answer here. Let us know how, again, you use this. But again, as I see it, is you have how you want to feel this time next week. You have your kind of mental and emotional reminders. Here are just the things that are going to get you through the week. So it's those tasks that need to be done so that you can have those mental and emotional reminders so that you can feel the way you want to feel by the end of the week. So let us know what your weekly to-dos are, and we will see everybody soon. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. Loved seeing the approaches. Definitely a fan of the bingo board idea. What I also like about one of these examples is the to not do list. I feel like there are definitely weeks where my optimism is lacking, and I definitely fall into that pessimistic phase where it's like, no answer is going to be right, feeling all of those kind of not so supportive lack of confidence feelings. And so what I loved is that I can kind of, marinate in those feelings a little bit longer until I'm ready to either usually admit that I was wrong and kind of get over it. But I like the idea of the to not to do list because it kind of feeds that pessimistic perspective, but at the same time, still is that kind of a to do or to not do list. Same thing with the to dos because me, again, mentality is everything. So I feel like this is a very flexible opportunity to have it in the tone that you need to, again, make sure that you have how you want to feel by the end of the week. So thank you everyone for sharing. Now we are going to continue to stay on page 40, but we're now at the very bottom, which is the habit and activity tracker. So what's fun about this weekly habit and activity tracker compared to the monthly habit tracker is that, monthly, those are things that you want to do every day. I like to add the reality lens because again, I want to move every day, but I melt in the rain because I'm like the Wicked Witch of the West, which I know is a constant joke that I always say. So if you've been here before, deal with it. It's my favorite joke. I will never tire of it. But that means that if there is, bad weather, I will move my workout inside. So I'm still getting the movement I need. I just tailor it so that I can feel accomplished at the end of the week because life happens. And you have to account for that because at the end of the week, I don't want to be upset that I didn't get something done because I didn't set myself up for success. So that's why I love that perspective here. And that is what I love about the flexibility of this is that you can have all 5 tasks and you can do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method where you're going to do something 5 times, 4 times, 3 times, 2 times, 1 times. Or you can set it up on the days that you know what's going to happen. If it is, make sure you're prepared for work and you luckily get to work, Monday through Friday, you can set it up that way. Like the idea of turning this into a no activity, these are the things I need to stop, but also the ability to, if you only have 3 things, that's great. If you only have 1 thing, also great. If you have no things that you want to work on that week because it's just going to be one of those weeks, also great. Loved the idea of a yay activity. So it was something to get excited about, something to look forward to. Same thing with another perspective of these are the days you're going to do these things. These could be focused on self-care routines. It could be morning routines, afternoon routines, evening routines, all the opportunities there. But what I always challenge everybody is to include something fun. So that is, create a new playlist, dance around your room, smile, provide a compliment to someone, say hi to someone, even turning it into a commute, karaoke style, carpool karaoke, all those things. So again, here's some other self-care ideas to make it fun. Jennifer and I loved the autumn bucket list. It's just such a really pretty picture. All of these were from Instagram, which again, I am a big fan of following folks on Instagram. So Positively Present is there, and then Brooklyn Swinson. So again, always add something fun or something excited or something little, not necessarily something that you have to accomplish, but something that you can inherently do for that week. So that doesn't look like a complete tracker. But again, how do you guys approach this and what habits or activities are you working on? Thank you everyone for sharing. Loved seeing all of the perspectives on what habits and activities you are working on. I loved Glimmer. I feel like Glimmer has taken off as something fun. Glimmer is kind of a magical moment or something that makes you happy during the day. You could consider it a rose, you consider it a win, but it also could just be something magical. I think it was a really lovely movie, which was The Magic of Ordinary Days, which I feel like is kind of the example of what a glimmer is. So super fun to track those. Love that you guys and kind of embraced that kind of whimsical, fun, almost dare I say spontaneous habit or activity that you can do. And then as always, these are always great ideas for bingo boards as well, to maybe if you have a little bit trickier time to kind of incorporate some of this, you can always use that bingo board that's built into the one, or you can create your own. So thank you everyone for sharing. Now we are going to flip that page. So now we're on page 41. And again, you've been here before. I refer to this lovingly as the B side, as in a record. I do everything diligently on that first page. That is my A side. B side is something that I don't always listen to, don't always use, but when I need it, there's that magical song and the magical example of what I love when I need it, when I want it, and I'm very happy and content with it. But it was certainly kind of a transition that I had to make as I went on my journal journey. So again, I don't always use this page. I know other folks, again, repurpose this a lot. So now we're going to talk about some of those really amazing repurposing opportunities that you can use for this. But again, we are not knocking the traditional standard straightforward way to do. We just love a good template. So for the meal plan, you can absolutely use it as a traditional meal plan. You can use it to track workouts. You can use it to track real time if you're tracking symptoms. I know Jennifer O has used it to kind of track leftovers in the past. It can also be kind of your to-do reminders and appointments. I have also used it as a wardrobe planner for when I go to conferences or travel for work to make sure that I am packing smartly, because I am a shoe hoarder. And so if I could bring a different pair of shoe for an outfit, I would be absolutely ecstatic, but that is obviously not practical. Same thing with, there are ways you can track kind of a big four. So someone tracks what exercise they did, what meditation, what book they read, what they had for dinner. Someone is tracking their vegetable and protein intake, another kind of health tracker version. And then I am a sucker for any of the kind of deep dive journal prompts. So this individual on the far right uses it as a way to kind of deep dive into some of those thoughts, feelings, kind of an end of day reflection, or just kind of a place to jot down those kind of thoughts and ideas that you want to then use, because then you can carry that over into the weekly spread if you need a little bit more room to kind of deep dive. So let us know how you repurpose your meal plan, and we will see you soon. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. Loved seeing the repurposing ideas, the motivation to not, spend money. So you're tracking your crafts and the supplies that you use. But I did also love seeing the motivation of using it as definitely more of a planning tool, which again, I have the utmost respect for, because that is, again, something that I feel like as soon as I write it down and it's like, this is what you're going to do, secretly I revolt. And I'm like, well, I'm going to do everything but that. Again, sometimes I feel like perseverance and stubbornness very much will kind of go back and forth in my head. And that's okay because it can be, again, how I mentally approach it. So thank you everyone for sharing. We are also going to continue again on page 41 with that mind body health plan, which is in the top right corner. I think this template works very, very well with the meal plan. So these two things can work kind of together, or they can obviously still be separate. But I loved already seeing that folks will do kind of one sort of, use it as a traditional meal plan, or they will include the dinner items for family or all those other folks in the mind body health plan and then use the meal plan for something else. But again, this is another one of those that you can either plan to do something or it can be something that you can track in real time, which I know tracking sounds like a little bit overwhelming, but it's another way to kind of include this without having to plan for it. So as always, I have kind of started gravitating this as like journal prompts, so that I can then deep dive in my weekly setup with those type of prompts, just because I feel like I fell a little off the kind of journaling, deep dive reflection. It was turning a little bit too much into just kind of lists that I needed to accomplish, which again, that's just how I felt. That's what I felt I needed. And that was the adjustment that I made. I love the idea of the T chart with the I feel and I need, something that you did well this week, some ways that you loved others. And then you can always do the alliteration with the corresponding day. So for Monday, you're going to motivate yourself. For Tuesday, it's going to be tranquility, et cetera, et cetera. You can also use this as the 7 types of rest, which are social, spiritual, mental, creative, emotional, sensory, and physical, as a way to track that kind of in your mind body health plan. And then I loved the completely revamping of it in that top right with here are the things that I'm going to do for my mind and body for health. And these are the days I'm going to do it. And then I loved the idea of tracking how did I care for myself. I've used this as a celebrate the wins as I track that because I was struggling to find some roses for my rosebud thorn because I was again dwelling in some of those failures. You can also use it as a reading log. All of these are great examples. So let us know how you are going to use your mind body health plan, and we'll see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. Loved seeing the approaches that you had here. I liked the concept of it being fluid. And that's again where I'm a big fan of using this as kind of my repurposing for when I need it or what I want. As Jeno put in the chat, this is definitely her egocentric one. This is where she focuses on what she needs to do for herself that week. And then the ability to kind of change it up and do something different each week, I think is really great. And then I also love that Felicia noticed the amazing quotes that are sprinkled throughout the journal. I think they are so timely and I think they're so appropriate. And they're one of those kind of magical glimmers that kind of sneak up on me, where it's like all of a sudden you're like, man, that is exactly what I needed to read, needed to see, and kind of adds again some of that extra motivation so that I can kind of build all of this to, again, my end goal with being how I want to feel by the end of the week. So thank you everyone for sharing. We are still going to stay on this page and we're moving to the shopping list, which again, I'm a sucker for a good template. This is a great open spot with limitless opportunities to be done for various things. So it can be a place for a morning routine, another great place for a bingo board. I love the one at the bottom left, which is boring stuff bingo. Because I mean, those are basically, you know, chores, tasks, all the things that you have to do. But because you've mentally acknowledged that they're boring, but again, you're going to reward yourself by turning it into a bingo board. You're setting yourself up for a little bit more success. But you can also use it as a packing list, a word of the day, any mindfulness activities, prayer lists, any of those kind of tracking, you know, caretaking tasks in this one. So I got a little excited about some of the cute little icons, especially when it comes to spooky season. So I've incorporated again some of those where you can come up with another stress relief potion. And then I know that other people use this kind of as a budgeting tool with the don't buy and buy. Or I know Bailey and Karen are some of our other facilitators will put on their kind of things that they think they want to buy, and it'll just sit there and think about it so that come the end of the week, maybe it is something they'll still need, or maybe not something that they want, or it can be a good place for stickers. But I'm a big fan of, like I said, embracing kind of the spooky season with, again, some self-care tips. So make sure you stay hydrated, spend quality time with friends, exercise your demons. And again, just the clever iconography is something that I can then kind of move myself and motivate myself more forward. So I'll let you finish up this page. Let us know how you use your shopping list, and we'll see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. Loved all of the great ideas. Sylvie, I am so jealous that you thought of this and continuing the theme of how you want to feel at the end of the week. She makes a bar graph here and kind of tracks how much she resonates with the word that she wants to feel at the end of the week. And I think that is a beautiful, elegant kind of bow to wrap off the week. Amazing. You guys have, again, such creative and amazing ideas. So we love to see everything that you share. We love seeing the examples that you put out there. You guys, again, have such amazing ideas and amazing approaches that I think truly resonate with just about everybody in this group. So thank you, everyone, for sharing. And then, as always, the I'm loving at the bottom of the page is a really fun way to just give a shout out to something else extra special or something that's really making you happy that week. Because, again, sometimes it can be tricky to find those roses amongst the week. So another opportunity to shout it out here. And then I loved the idea of using it as kind of how you can care for other folks, especially as we kind of move into kind of the full-blown winter where it gets again dark, a little bit gloomier, a little bit more on the isolation side because again, no one wants to be outside too much. So always a great opportunity to acknowledge and give back to others. And can you believe it? We are actually at the end of the hour, which I think is always, it goes by so quickly, but I am so glad to kind of be back in the swing of things. I have certainly missed my Sonder fam as I was relocating, but it's so good to see everybody here. Jen is going to put a bunch of links in the chat, which will include the YouTube link so that you can, you know, if there's days that you really, really need a social and there isn't one scheduled, you can always find something there if you come late or if you have to leave early. All of those will be there. Unfortunately, with the weekends, though, you got to give them a little bit more time to put those in. But again, always an opportunity to get more perspective, more ideas. I will also include my playlist on the next slide, as well as I'll put a link in the chat. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. I hope you have an amazing week. And hopefully, as we check in this time next week, you have kind of felt what you wanted to feel. If you were new, thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again. And I love all of our returning socialers, so it's always great to see you. Again, thank you for joining us, and we will see you again.
Think it's far away.